Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Stephen from Healing the Mind. And today I've got the absolute pleasure of being joined by the amazingly stunning and obviously the gorgeous Klaudia French. So she's come to tell us a little bit about her story. So hello, Klaudia. Thank you for coming and joining us and giving up the time to share your story. So how are you? You okay?
I'm very good, thank you.
Excellent.
Really enjoying the day so far.
Yeah,
beautiful sunshine in UK. Yes.
Yeah, great. So let's start off. Find out a little bit about Klaudia. Who are you? What do you do? Tell us a bit about your life, your background, etc. So,
right. Where do we start? I was born and raised in Poland. Came to UK over 15 years ago. Started my career in hospitality sector, and now I am entrepreneur owning 4 businesses together with my husband. I would like to say that we are quite successful as a businesses, even
yes, you are
during all the times, because our, I think, latest turnover of the companies will be in between 5 to 6 millions, and we constantly growing. So very ambitious person, very goal driven. I would like to say very happy person.
Good.
Met my husband over 5 years ago. We're now married. We've got 2 kids. We've got house. Met my husband through joint passion to volleyball. My husband is an Olympian, GB 2012 London Olympics volleyball player, and we've met at one of the volleyball events and been together ever since.
So you played volleyball and you met Nathan through because obviously he was in the 2012 Olympics. He represented the UK.
Yes,
Britain.
Well, I always played volleyball as a hobby, never at the level that Nathan played. Nathan played professionally and then obviously represented Team GB at the Olympics. But we've met at one of the events in UK, and we've been together ever since.
How sweet! Excellent. So, you've got 2 children.
We've got 2 beautiful girls. Yes.
And their ages are.
Nearly 4 and nearly 2.
Lovely ages as you can imagine. Okay, so let's go back. So do you remember when you first met me?
I do remember. It was at the networking event, I think in Colchester.
It was, yeah.
And I went there with my husband because he promised to take me shopping straight after.
Okay, great. Well, that's always a good incentive to go to a networking event.
Yep.
And so when we spoke, and I remember we spoke for some time, and we discussed about what we did because you was interested in curious about what I did after we got into conversation. So what do you remember from that conversation? What did you take from that?
I remember when I approached and I said, what do you do for a living? He says, if I'm going to tell you, you're not going to believe this.
That's right.
Okay, but try me. I'm quite open-minded. Try me. And you said, well, you are healing the mind and you're removing emotional responses from people's mind.
Yeah.
And in my head, I thought, okay, well, I need to process what you just said because it does make sense, but it doesn't make sense. Are you some sort of a magician? Like, who actually are you? But I think we had that connection in a talk, and there was a lot of things where we were on the same page with things, with how we respond to things and how powerful is the mind.
Yeah. And it's all in the mind. Everything's the mind.
It is. And I think from there, we just decided, hey, I've got to go shopping now. So should we just grab a coffee another day and have a proper talk?
Yeah, and we did. We met up and had a coffee, didn't we? And we asked a few more questions about what I did. And in actual fact, you asked me to come up to your business in Bedford.
As a result of that, yes, because I remember you had a little pad and a paper and you were just drafting things down to explain to me how the mind works and where all the emotions are coming from and responses. And I'm a visual person. So to me, that was, wow, okay, now I see that. I need to bring Stephen back to my company because as an entrepreneur, I straight away could see that I can take these skills, that knowledge that you've got and pass it over to my team. Every time they deal with the stress, and very often then is that bad energy that is just taking them over, and it affects the performance massively because someone said something and they just took it so personally.
Yeah, absolutely.
And at that point, I thought, well, I can't allow this to happen. I can't help them. Doesn't matter how many times I've tried or explained to them. It was just not getting to them. So I thought, well, I need my magician.
Yeah.
I need Stephen, my magician, to perhaps explain to the team how the things work to have them better understanding. That was just the step 1.
Yeah, so I remember coming up there, I did the talk, explained several things, the model of the brain, how they work and how it affects us in our everyday life and how we can change that. And so what was the overall sort of result from that talk from after I left? Is because I know that several people took action after that event. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, everyone just went quiet at the end. Everyone went quiet because there's so many information. It's almost mind-blowing, which makes so much sense to us, but we never actually thought of that way. So everyone just went quiet and went back to work, and no one was really talking. And I think people were digesting and processing all the knowledge that they had.
Yeah.
I knew the talk is not only going to affect the work life thing, but they will actually take that back with them into their personal lives and take certain action. So there were action in personal lives taken by my staff members, but from a work point of view, they've learned a lot of how to deal with the negative responses they were getting from their clients, even if the things sometimes are not absolutely their fault.
Yes.
So they've learned how to deal with that much better.
And it's benefited the company, it's benefited them.
Well, of course, it had a huge effect on the performance, because once it's almost like if you would fall out with your other half and then go to work, and then doesn't matter how much work you do, you just still feel low and you just do whatever you've been told, but you don't have that ongoing, you don't want to do that extra mile thing because you just don't feel great.
Yeah.
So they've learned how to deal with that, and then therefore their performance was on their top levels all the time.
Yeah. Excellent. So also from a personal level, some people took action, didn't they? One of your members of staff leave there?
Yes, she has decided to change
her relationship.
Yes. Yeah. She ended her relationship, and I think she's been extremely happy ever since.
Oh, that's good. So, I mean, I know there's a negative side to what I do, but there's also, from that negative side, there's always a real positive that comes out of it, which I'm really pleased about.
Long term is always positive.
Yeah, long term is always positive. Yeah, great. So obviously it had a really positive effect on your business and some of your staff, and you see the benefit of coming there. So what made you, Klaudia, successful French, super gorgeous, come and see me in the first place? Well, because obviously up until that point, your life's great. I mean, you've got a beautiful husband, Nathan.
Yes.
You've got 2 beautiful kids. You've got a lovely home. You've got 4 amazing businesses. They're really successful. You've got a great team of people. What made you think, do you know what, I need to go and see Stephen?
I think what I've recognized is when I had my second child that I was getting into a very strong anxiety, and it was getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And even though I was aware of that, I thought, because I know how to manage people, I know how to manage their emotions, I know how to manage everything, because I'm such a successful entrepreneur, I can manage that on my own.
Yeah.
And that was a mistake, because I've tried really hard and I've tried to find understanding where I feel that way, but nothing worked. And in return, it was getting deeper and stronger, and it was affecting my marriage. It was affecting my family life. It was affecting my work life. It was affecting my sleep. It was basically affecting everything, my performance. And I became a person where I thought, even though I'm so grateful for everything I have, now I'm not happy, because there is something that is really holding me back, and it's eating me from the inside.
Yeah. I think the big mistake most people make is that the stuff that they do, or the tools that they're given to do with work or outside, anything external. So it's maybe your business, your relationships, how you want to try and understand that. When we try and take these tools and stuff that we learn for our outside world, the world outside of us, we don't realize that those tools do not work when it comes to our own thoughts, feelings and emotions. It doesn't work. And this is where everybody falls over. And I say this all the time, is that actually you don't know what your problem is, because because the way the mind and the emotions work is completely different to anything that from the external world. And so you became aware of that and had all these amazing skills and talents to build this amazing life, but actually it wasn't really working for you in what was going on for you in your internal life.
I mean, you've made me aware of that when we had our coffee with your little notepad.
Yeah.
And I think because you've said that, I've processed it, and then I start understanding that this is something I can't do on my own, because I am looking for the logical answers to things and I won't be able to find them.
Yeah.
So I kind of took what you've told me into my own life.
Yeah. And so also as well, I mean, might want to touch on it, but you also had quite a traumatic pregnancy as well, if I recall.
Oh, I had. I mean, I've got 2 beautiful girls, but before the first child was born, we had a miscarriage. I mean, the heart just didn't develop, and I have to have a surgery. So that was always scary. Every time you're getting pregnant afterwards, you're worrying, is it going to be okay or not? And then unfortunately, with the second pregnancy, I not only had a high risk of miscarriage due to the short cervix, but I also end up having TIA. I had a stroke halfway through the pregnancy, which also is very risky. And there is any point where they're saying, well, who's more important here, you or the baby? Because for the doctors at the stage will always be me.
Yeah.
But the fear of losing that baby, it was absolutely a no-no to us, because we planned that baby. We really wanted to have a second child.
Yeah.
Then I was really badly affected with a hip disorder during pregnancy. I couldn't walk. And then not being able to walk had a knock-on effect on a stroke, because then they saying you have to stay active. But if I'm staying active, then that has got an effect on my cervix.
Yeah.
So it was just a mixture. What do I do? What's right? What's wrong? And that fear of losing the pregnancy.
Yeah.
Or what if I'm going to die because of it?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of fear with that.
A lot of fear, and it's also quite a traumatic experience to go through when you're in it.
Oh yeah, terrible.
And the thing is that people, after we come out of a traumatic experience like that, we hold those experiences still internally, which you wasn't aware of at first. No. Or how these past events actually affect us in the present day. And so you come to see me initially for the anxiety of. Yeah. So what was going on there?
Well, I've learned to move on with things. So even with a miscarriage or with a stroke, I'm kind of a person, well, it's done, it's behind me, let's just move on. Yeah. I didn't realize that there's somewhere deep down, they're still inside me. And now they're having an effect on the anxiety or everything I felt. I didn't even know it's related. I think that was the part where I found, wow, is that even related?
Yeah.
I suppose that was your job to tell me at the end. Yeah. So yes, I had, every time my little one would cry at night, I would just wake up straight away and I would just run there. But I would run there scared that I'm going to see her dead.
Yeah.
You've written a lot about the cough deaths, and I just thought, you know what, maybe she's dead. Or even if she didn't cry and she had a really good night's sleep, I would say to my husband, can you please go if she's breathing? Yeah. Or he'd be like, well, she's just asleep. Yeah, but she didn't wake up crying as she normally does. Maybe she's dead. Can you check if she's alive? Yeah. And if she is, can you call me? It was getting to that point, and every time something will drop behind my back and a noise, I would think that maybe it's her falling down the stairs, or she just pulled something on her and she's dead.
Yeah. So that became progressively worse over time.
Yeah, with the noises, with every cry, with loads of things. Yeah. And then it just drains you. It's literally every time you've got this feeling of, as if you just lost your wallet, as example. It's that kind of feeling of, where is it, and what's going to happen as a consequence of that.
Yeah, and
I just had constantly that feeling throughout the day.
Yeah, and obviously we can't, and obviously when you're trying to be the super mum and best wife and having a business, you can't really have that, because it just gets in the way. It debilitates you.
It does. It drains you. It absolutely drains you. You just keep going, thinking tomorrow it's going to be another day. Take one day at a time. No, it doesn't work to take one day at a time, because 7 days later you're absolutely drained. Yeah. And you're still back to square one. Yeah.
Yeah. We get told all of this stuff that actually doesn't work for us, which you sort of become to realize after coming and seeing me.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your experience of the process. So you come to see me. We obviously, the good thing about it is we sort of knew each other in the first place. So you sort of had that, it was easy for you to come and just go through the process.
Yeah.
So just tell the people listening what the process was like. What's it like working with me, and what was your expectations before going in, and what was your realizations or learnings at the end of it?
Yeah. At the beginning of each session, we're going through, I would say, the meditation relaxation stage, which, you know what, it was actually so much I needed. As a mother of two running press, and I feel like I just love this part of a session where I can just relax and slow down and just literally heal and love yourself from the inside. I think the biggest part for me was to trust you.
Yes.
It's without the trust, there is no point of even starting. And at the beginning of sessions, Stephen will always ask me, do you trust me? Do you give me permission?
Yes, I always ask
that. And that question is so powerful. Then for a moment you're thinking, do I give you permission? Do I want things changed? Well, yes, that's why I'm here. But you're almost questioning yourself, what if he's going to do everything that he just said? How is my life going to look like?
Yeah.
You're literally trying to imagine that in that split second. And then you're thinking, hold on 1 second. I am here for that actual reason, because I am not happy. What's happening? So that's where I go, I give you permission, and yes, I do trust you.
Yeah, but the thing is that we have those fears because our subconscious brain thinks it's protecting us.
Yeah.
And so that's why I asked that question, because that enables you to give permission to let that go, because a lot of people don't like letting stuff go. They like to hold on to it because they think it's who they are, it's their life, it's their identity, which is not true. So anyway, so I asked you permission, and then we work through the process. So tell a bit more about the process and your experience of that.
I think at any point you're worrying, what if I am going to lose my identity? I am that strong, powerful woman. I don't want to lose that.
Yeah.
well, what do you mean you're going to remove certain things from me? But I love me.
Yeah.
So that was my worry as a person. But you know what? None of that was removed. It was only removed the little things that were not the greatest within me at the time.
Yeah.
But I am still very strong, and I'm still confident. I'm still happy. I'm actually happier than I was ever before.
Yeah.
Throughout the process, is during a session, is you removing the emotional responses to the point where I actually forget what was the question.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I just lay down and I thought, he's going to ask me a question, but I can't remember what was the last question. I just cannot remember.
Yeah.
So you actually don't remember a lot of things. You do remember an event, but as if it happened 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, I'm 34, so there were not things that happened that long ago. It's something that has happened within the last 2 years. But it feels like I do remember, but it's like just a shade of a memory from the past. And I've got no connections. I've got no emotional response. I've got no anger, no happiness. It's just somewhere there. But
it's the unhappiness goes, the anger goes, all the stuff, the negative. And what we're actually doing is removing all the stuff that doesn't work for you anymore.
Yeah.
Related to that event.
Yes.
The event's still there. You can remember it. You still have all the joy, the good stuff in that event, but we're just removing the stuff that doesn't work. And so after that, so after the session, you come back out. After it doesn't take long. Sometimes it takes long, but so when you come out of that, how did you feel? What did it feel like?
I'll tell you what it feels like. At first, it feels like, oh, I've lost a stone. I feel nice and slim now. You literally feel like a weight that you were carried without even knowing you did is off your shoulders.
Yeah.
But then I go to the stage where I just want to sleep and I'm really tired for a day or two.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, that's not normal. I'm just exhausted, shattered. Called Stephen, and he says it's because you're healing.
Yeah.
And your body needs that energy to heal. Just let it.
Yeah.
So yes, from that feeling of light, you then feel I just need to sleep.
It's right.
For a couple of days.
Yeah.
And then you feel like back to normal. You don't really feel any differences. You might notice that throughout the time that certain things are happening differently. But me as a person, I don't feel any different apart from certain things disappearing. So there won't be that something will drop on the floor and I would only turn because I can hear the noise, but it wouldn't give me that effect.
Yeah.
So those things are changing quite instantly. But then with that, the other things around you slowly do change. And when you look back 4 months back, then you're thinking, okay, I can now see there is a lot of things happening around me that are now better and different. So it's not just that one thing that has changed. Yeah.
So one of the things I do know is when we change that stuff that's going on inside of us, magically the outside world changes to conform to the new us. That's what I sort of see in everybody. And it actually works. Our life starts to work for us rather than against us, or us working against ourselves. And I see that in everybody, and I've seen that in myself. So it's made a massive improvement in your life then. So it's had a real benefit.
Of course.
Yeah, and which is great. That's what we want. That's why you come here. And so you also you introduced me to some of your friends, and I've helped some of your friends as well.
I mean, seeing the effect, seeing how much it helped me, I just thought, you know what, I need to introduce my friends to Stephen, because even though in general, they come across as a happy, successful people, I know there is something that is holding them back, or something that it might affect them, and something where they've got so many beautiful things around them, and they're grateful as a people, but they can't see that joy in that because there is something holding them back. Or people that they just look to blame others for certain things rather than seeing things from a different perspective. So I have introduced people that are the closest to me, really, because I care about them the most, which is my husband, which is my best friend.
Well, Nathan, I've done a lot of work with Nito. He's kind enough to do a video for me. I've done a lot of work with Nathan, and he's a great guy, and you've got an absolute top bloke there, and you make a lovely couple. You really do.
Very lucky to have him.
Yeah, I'm very lucky to have him. He's a great guy, and I've seen him change.
Yeah. He's, when I've met Nathan, when we got married, to me, that was a perfect person. He still is a perfect person, but then within himself, he needed a tiny bit of help to be even happier to what he was.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I wasn't making him happy, or my girls, or what he's doing. It was just the certain things that were there that were holding him back from that.
Yeah.
So it's right now, I don't do anything differently. My girls don't do anything differently, and he's happier than he's been ever before.
Yeah, I mean, there is big misconception that something outside of us is going to make us happy. Whether you've got the perfect wife, the perfect car, the perfect job, the perfect business, the perfect whatever. Everybody's striving to try and find this thing outside of them to make them happy, which is the biggest delusion in the world. Because as you well know, you had all that stuff, but there was a part of you that was making you feel unhappy inside.
Yeah.
And it wasn't nothing to do with the people or the environment. It was what's going on inside. And when we need to realize that when we change that inside of us and we become happy inside of us, then everything else outside of us falls into place.
Yeah. What I think is the hardest is where you think you are happy. So why are you not laughing? Why are you not smiling as often? And you would say, I don't know. Well, that's good. And go and see Stephen and he will tell you why.
Yeah.
This is what it is. If you don't smile often enough, if you're not happy every single day for what you've got and who you're with and what you do, then you have to see Stephen and he will tell you exactly the reason why. Remove that and you literally feel like someone just gave you a ticket out of a jail.
Yeah, it is like that. And I think the other thing as well is that we normalize all of our shit in our life. We're trying
to move on. We're trying to take one day at a time because it's easier that way.
Yeah,
but we think it's easier.
It's actually not. It's harder. And actually it makes life harder by the day. And the problem is the more negative stuff that we have in our past, the more we start creating from that, because it's those things that we create from. So we end up creating more and more negative situations, negative relationships, negative people in our life. And once you've got rid of that the reality of that changes. And it's probably difficult for people to understand, but as soon as you get rid of all of that, your life really does change like that. And sometimes you get these learnings when you've cleared something from your past. You learn something, don't you, about yourself. You learn something about the situation, and all of a sudden the thing that you thought was a problem isn't the problem at all, and all of a sudden you actually can see it for what it really is, and you can learn and grow from that from a really good positive place rather than from a negative place. That's my experience. I don't know if you've experienced that, or that's how you see it.
I've experienced that every time we come in before we've got a session, we've got a coffee, and I would say to Stephen, I know because I've got this issue because of this and that, and Stephen will say, no, you're not. Yes, no, Stephen, you don't understand. I already know. I've already thought about it, and it's this and that. No, you're not. Are you ready for a session? Yes. And then you're coming out saying, how did you even get to the bottom of this with that? How is that even related? At the end, it all makes sense, yes.
Yeah, it all makes
but when
sense.
You come in and say, oh, I know. No, you don't know.
Yeah, and that's because what we end up doing is because what we do is our subconscious reacts and has stuff. It comes up to our conscious brain, which is where we try and understand stuff, and that's when we become aware of things. And as soon as we become aware of this response, we try and understand it and work it out. Yep. And I say this all the time. What we then do is, because we're trying to understand it and work it out, and we'd like to think that we've got a good take on who we are, what we do is we make up shit, and then we believe that shit we make up. And unfortunately, that's a belief system now that's false. And this is why many people are constantly trying to solve imaginary problems, because they make this thing up. They go, oh, that's what it is. I need to solve that. But that's not. That's actually made up as well. So it's all illusionary and it's all imaginary. And when you actually realize that it's actually something that's going on unconsciously, and we just got to find that and then remove it, and then the whole problem goes away. So okay, so let's wrap up the video. Thanks for sharing your experience with us, and I hope you found it rather interesting. So before we go, what would you say to the people watching? What would you recommend? And just tell them really a little bit more about what you think about what we do.
If at any point you don't feel like you are happy, or you feel a little bit low and you're thinking, oh, that's probably due to the weather, or oh, it's because my paycheck wasn't high enough, or because it's a pandemic and the shops are closed,
or my ex,
or there's any
or my partner.
It's none of that. It's none of that. And you're trying to find the answer why you feel like that, or maybe I should go to the gym. It's not going to solve a problem. It's literally like taking paracetamol for your headache, rather than finding out the reason what is causing the headache in the first place. So don't take paracetamol, come and see Stephen, and he's going to get rid of whatever it's there. And you're going to thank him at the end, because I did, and because I've experienced that on myself. I've referred all the people that are closest to me in my life to see Stephen, because all I want for them is to be happy, and he makes people happy. I
try my best. I've met so many of your friends. I'm starting to learn Polish. I'm going to be fluent in it soon. But no, so thank you for that. Okay, so we want to say thanks again to Klaudia for coming along and giving up her time this morning to share her story. I hope you found that interesting. And for those of you that are struggling out there, if this resonates with you or you have a problem, then please feel free to reach out to me or visit my website, healingthemind.co.uk. On that note, I'm going to say thanks again for watching. And Klaudia, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming along. Cheers now. Thank you.
Thank you.